After the recent violent escalation between Israel and Palestine, Israel is on the front pages of mass media worldwide. Whether it will be a well-known newspaper or a reporter, everyone talks about Israel's power in the Middle East. Being in the middle of the most controversial region and territories in the world, we want to find out how we should define Israel's power. My name is Haik and I welcome you to Global Political Analysis channel. The term power in international relations is mostly related to economic military power. Although the geographical location, access to seas, population and nuclear weapon capabilities are also related to the power of the state, we will cover only military and economic power in case of Israel. Since its foundation, Israel has been growing in size. The initial UN partition in 1947 allocated 5,500 square miles for about a million inhabitants. Today, nearly 8 million people live within 8,000 square miles. Although Israel is smaller in size, its economy is booming, ranking 37th worldwide with a GDP of over $300 billion. Tel Aviv is nicknamed Silicon Valley, after the Arabic word for valley, due to its startup ecosystem, which is the second in the world. Per capita, Israel has more startups than anywhere in the world. Some have pointed to the cultural emphasis on education and the disproportionate number of scientists and engineers as the leading cause of the ongoing technological boom. Israel is also home to one of the leading diamond cutting and polishing industries, although natural resources are hardly found. Additionally, the culture and religious heritage of Israel attracts millions of tourists from all over the world, generating additional income into the country's budget. However, when discussing state power, it's the military and defense that brings the most attention to Israel. Israel is one of the world's leading arms exporters, with over 10% exports mostly to the US and the European Union. More than 60% of the worldwide export of drones comes from Israel. Recent escalation between Armenia and Azerbaijan revealed the deadly power of drones. With such arms supplies, it is obvious that Israel has the most powerful army in the Middle East and is the 11th in the world. Military expenses take a huge percentage of the total GDP in every country, so Israel is not an exception, with over 6% spending of GDP on military expenses. However, nothing could be achieved without proper foreign policy and allies. In this case, the United States provides significant support to Israel. More than $3 billion are sent to Israel in the form of military aid each year. In return, the USA has a strong foothold in the Middle East. Moreover, the United States defends Israel against UN resolutions from Palestine, and Israel is also defended as a major non-NATO ally. Israel's specific mixture of military dominance, international support and economic strength makes Israel one of the world's most powerful countries. Whether Israel handles the power in the right way or not is a big question, pushing to the front line the question of Palestine, selling arms to aggressive autocratic states like Azerbaijan, and much more. Being supported by democratic states and values, Israel is not passionate about democracy at all. For example, conflicts with Palestine erupt often with indiscriminate shelling, which indicates that Israel, being in a much stronger position, goes easier for military escalation rather than diplomatic tools.